Today we're going to talk about Andy's pro travel hacks and travel tips. I'm a pretty seasoned flyer. I've been traveling for at least 20 years now. I've become a Medallion Million Miler. I've been diamond pretty consistently for a while now too. So I've been on a few planes in my lifetime and I've been very observant. So I've picked up on a couple of things that may help you out as you embark on your travels. Let's get started. A lot of the times here in the States when you do your traveling, you get on the plane, they've got power outlets on there, plug your charger in, you plug it into the power outlet and it slips out. These things get used so much that they tend to fall out and not hold your power plug in very well. Or if you brush by it with your foot or whatever, you can actually kick it out pretty easy. One of the best ways I found to keep those things in is to use an international travel adapter. Most of these plugs on these airplanes have a regular US plug on it and they have a European plug on it. Sometimes they have more than that, but typically they have the US and the European plug. If you have an Apple charger, you can get a worldwide kit for I think it's 20 or 40 bucks, and you can use that kit to put the European version of that plug on your power adapter. It still works the same. And because most people that fly domestically in the United States don't use the European travel adapters, when you stick it in there, it holds on pretty well. So that's my first and most favorite travel tip. Use an international power adapter. It doesn't have to be the Apple version. You can get a worldwide power adapter, plug that in, and then plug your plug in there. Chances are it's gonna stay a lot better than it did without that. Travel tip number 2. When you're walking down the aisle, getting on the airplane with your bag, one of the best things that you can do is go ahead and start looking for that overhead bin space. Don't wait until you get all the way back to your seat. You can be out of space and then have to end up either checking your bag or heading back up forward and looking for that space anyway. So find some of the first available space that you can in those overhead bins. A lot of times they close those overhead bins before you get back to your seat. For the ones that are full, don't go reopening those bins. Chances are they're full and they'll tell you that over and over again on the announcements on the plane. As you're walking on the plane, just take a look. Don't use the first class or the economy comfort or whatever the premium economy ones is. Go past those, and then if there's open space, go ahead and throw your bag in that. Travel tip number 3. What a lot of people do when they get on the plane, they get to their seat and they look at the overhead bin space that's directly above their seat and they store their bag up there. Why do you do that? Why do we all do that? It just seems natural to want to store the bag over where you're sitting. One of the best things that I can tell you is put the bag across the aisle from where you're sitting over on the other side. That way when you're sitting down, you can watch the bag. As other people get on, they tend to shift things around. They'll put stuff on top of it. They may even move it to another spot and you'd have no idea because you really can't see it from your seat. Whenever I put my bag up there, I make sure that I put it over on the opposite side. That way, if someone's messing with it, I can immediately look up, see, and say something so that no one touches my bag. So travel tip number 4 gets into kind of a dicey area. This is not something that I would necessarily do, but it's something that I've seen done on planes. A lot of times people get stuck in a bulkhead seat or choose a bulkhead seat. Most of the time, if you've got a bathroom, a lavatory, a kitchen, galley in front of you, you may not have underseat storage. And if you want to do some work in the middle of the flight, that means that you've got to put your bag up above you or on the opposite side of you, as we just covered. And then when you get to 10,000 feet, get up. As long as there's no turbulence, take your seatbelt off, go get your bag out, get your stuff out, use it, and then later you've got to restore it before you land again. I have actually seen some people take stuff out, put stuff behind their legs and then cover their legs with a blanket, trying to hide it from the flight attendants. And most of the time, those things never get caught because really, you wouldn't expect something to be under your legs. This can be dangerous. One of the things that I like to do is take my laptop out if I'm in a bulkhead seat and I want to use my laptop, take my laptop out and put it in the seat right beside me. So it's right next to my hip as I'm flying. That way, once we get to 10,000 feet, I can open it up, use it, and then once we go below 10,000 feet again, I can actually restore it right beside me and we can land. I've never had an issue with that. I've never had a flight attendant or anyone tell me that I can't have my laptop out and in the seat beside me. I have heard them say that you can't store it in the seat back pocket in front of you, but I've never had anyone tell me that I can't just have it right beside my lap. Travel tip number 5 is something else that I've seen people do. I've seen them recline their seat just a little bit and then recline every other seat on that same row to the same recline so that flight attendants don't notice that all the seats in that row are set back to the same level and they don't make you put your seat all the way forward. I mean, let's face it, these things can be really uncomfortable, and I don't know that that's the safest thing to do because it makes it hard for people behind that row to plane and deplane, but it was one of the things that I thought was kind of ironic when I saw people put their seat back and then put all the seats next to them in that same row back to that same recline so that no one would notice and they could get away with having their seat back reclined for the entire flight. Travel tip number 6. Since most airlines now charge you to actually check your bag in before the flight, one of the things that you can do, as long as you don't have any liquids or gels or anything in your bag and you can make it through security and it's a rollerboard size that fits in the overhead bin, you can actually take that bag with you all the way to the gate, and a lot of times if the flight's full, the gate agents will allow you to check that bag for free. They ask for volunteers of people who want to check their bag. I don't particularly like to do that because I don't necessarily want to wait on my bag. I mean, if I brought it that far, what's the harm in putting it in the overhead bin? But if you're one of the last groups to board, like say Zone 3 on Delta, and you know that you're probably going to run out of some overhead bin space, you may want to go ahead and check it. You can check it for free, and then you don't really have to worry about it until you get to baggage claim on the other side. Was it a hassle to carry it that far and to go through security? Yes, but at least you can cut part of that journey out with having to deal with it the rest of the way. One of the most basic things that I think a lot of people don't get is when your flight is canceled, either due to weather or a mechanical delay, the first thing you want to do is get on the phone with that airline. You'll see a whole bunch of people rushing to stand in line and see if they can get their flights changed. Let me tell you something, those seats will fill up on the other flights, on the other airlines, at the other plane. And there's a whole book that can be written on asking for tickets on other airlines and things. The best thing that you can do is pick up your phone and call the airline. Never stand in those lines and wait on the agent to help you. You can stand in the line, but while you're standing in the line, I would go ahead and get on the phone with the airline. Let's say that the hold time for the airline can be longer than maybe what the wait time would be. So do both. Do both at the same time. But you know what? Those seats are going to be given away very fast. And if you're 20th in line and there's only 10 seats available on the next flight, you're going to miss out on those seats. You want to get on the phone with the airline and see if you can secure one of those seats from an agent on the phone rather than standing in line and waiting. Travel tip number 8. You got upgraded to economy comfort. You're not necessarily in first class. You are going to get a beverage service during the flight. Let's say it's a shorter service, but there's only going to be one beverage service coming. A lot of what I've seen is people ordering double drinks now instead of just ordering a single. Let's say you wanted to have a Bailey's on the rocks. People would say, I want a double Bailey's on the rocks. In my experience of watching this happen, I've never actually seen a flight attendant in a section like economy comfort or an upgraded economy section charge people for that second drink. They tend to give it to them for free. Not everybody drinks, so I think that they count that as being, you know, that's okay. I don't know what the official policy is, but let's say you want a coffee and Bailey's, but 2 Bailey's would be too strong. Typically, they'll hand you both bottles. You can put one in there. You can manage to get a refill of coffee later and then drink the other one if you want to. Well, whatever the case is, if they're only going to give you one drink service, if you're in first class, it's not a big deal. They keep coming back and you don't need to order double of anything. But if you're in economy comfort, grab a double. That way you're getting your money's worth so you can get both drinks out of it. So one of the things that I found recently is if the laptop that you're using or tablet or whatever combo, keyboard combo weighs less than 2 pounds, the flight attendants won't say anything to you and you can continue using that for the entire flight. I carry a tiny MacBook with me that weighs less than 2 pounds or it's right at 2 pounds. I've never been told to actually put it up. And now that we have things like GoGo gate-to-gate Wi-Fi and you can use GoGo internet for the entire flight from gate to gate, it's not the air-to-ground version, but it's the satellite version of it that's a lot faster and streaming capable. You can pull your laptop out, connect to the internet immediately and work for the entire flight. I mean, it's not just the time that you're in the air. A short flight may only be an hour, but with the taxiing to the runway and the taxiing from the runway to the gate and potential wait and all that kind of stuff, you've got maybe another 30 to 45 minutes there of time that you would have wasted before. So if you have a laptop, like a 15-inch or 17-inch, there's no way it's less than 2 pounds. They're gonna tell you to put that up. But if you got a small one, maybe a 12, 13-inch that's fairly thin, chances are you can keep that out the entire flight. Other options include an iPad that has a keyboard with it or a Microsoft Surface that has a keyboard with it, but any one of those would probably be very helpful for you to be able to work the entire flight if that's one of your goals. And last but not least, when you've booked a flight and you're trying to decide on the seat that you want, hop over to seatguru.com, SEATGURU. It's an excellent site that allows you to pick the day, the airline, and the flight number of the flight that you're going to be on, and it gives you a complete listing of all of the seats and what seats are best and what seats are not. whatnot, it'll show you seats that you may not know it. You may be picking a window seat out, but these seats on certain aircraft don't actually have windows in it. Or if you're in a seat that's near a bathroom where passengers tend to congregate, especially on long haul flights, you may not be comfortable with that. So pop over, do some research. You know, airlines don't always show you their seat and layout configurations, whether your head's gonna be in the aisle or your head's gonna be towards the window in some of those first class seats. I mean, Seat Guru breaks it down. On most aircraft, it has pictures that users have uploaded to let you know exactly what the seats look like. It's a great resource. Yes, flights are quick, but why not do all the research you can to make sure that you're getting the best seat possible during that flight? So that's it for me. Those are all the tips that I have this time around. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, and I'll do my best to upload more great videos.